Tutankhamun's Tomb Curse. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Hidden for more than 3,000 years, the burial chamber was filled with gold, treasures, and sealed doorways untouched since ancient times. The discovery quickly became one of the most important archaeological finds in history, but almost immediately, stories of a curse began to spread. According to legend, a warning was found near the tomb threatening death to anyone who disturbed the pharaoh's rest. Soon after the opening, Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's financial backer, died suddenly from an infected mosquito bite. Newspapers quickly linked his death to a supposed pharaoh's curse. Over the following years, several others connected to the excavation also died. While historians argue these events were coincidences, the pattern fueled public fear. The idea that disturbing an ancient king's tomb could bring supernatural consequences became widely believed. Whether myth or coincidence, Tutankhamun's tomb remains the most famous example of a discovery surrounded by claims of a deadly curse. Koh-i-Noor diamond curse. The Koh-i-Noor is one of the most famous diamonds in the world, with a history stretching back centuries. Originating in India, the gem passed through the hands of multiple rulers, often during times of conflict, invasion, and conquest. It was mined in the Golconda region, and quickly became a symbol of power, worn by emperors and displayed as proof of dominance. Many of the men who possessed the diamond experienced defeat, betrayal, or violent ends. Mughal emperors lost their thrones. Persian ruler Nader Shah, who reportedly gave the diamond its name meaning Mountain of Light, was assassinated, and later owners faced political collapse. Empires fell, kings were overthrown, and wars often followed its transfer from one ruler to another. Because of this pattern, the diamond gradually gained a reputation for bringing misfortune. When the British acquired the gem after the annexation of Punjab in 1849, the legend of the curse grew even stronger. Some believe the stone brought danger specifically to male rulers. As a result, the diamond was set into crowns worn by British queens rather than kings, reinforcing the belief that only women could safely possess it. Today, the Koh-i-Noor remains part of the British crown jewels, displayed behind glass yet still surrounded by controversy. The Koh-i-Noor continues to be viewed as one of history's most infamous cursed objects, a gem linked not just to wealth but to power, conflict, and downfall. Babylonian curse bowls. Babylonian curse bowls are among the most eerie and fascinating artifacts ever uncovered from the ancient world, dating back roughly 1,500 years to the late antique period. These bowls were not ordinary household items, they were believed to be powerful tools of protection against unseen forces. Each bowl was carefully inscribed on the inside with spiraling text, often written in ancient languages such as Aramaic, Syriac, or Mandaic. These inscriptions were not random, they contained incantations, prayers, and commands designed to bind or repel demons, curses, illnesses, or even specific enemies. Some texts directly name individuals, suggesting that these bowls were sometimes created to protect against personal rivalries or targeted harm. The placement of the bowls was just as important as their inscriptions. They were deliberately buried upside down beneath thresholds, courtyards, and floors, key entry points to a home. The idea was simple yet chilling. Any malicious spirit or supernatural force attempting to enter would be drawn into the bowl and trapped there, unable to escape. Alongside the text, certain bowls feature crude but haunting drawings of bound figures often interpreted as demons or malevolent entities. These figures are sometimes shown tied up, chained, or confined, visually reinforcing the purpose of the bowl as a prison for supernatural beings. Ultimately, Babylonian curse bowls reveal a world where the boundary between the physical and supernatural felt dangerously thin. Ötzi the Iceman curse. In 1991, hikers in the Alps discovered a frozen body emerging from melting ice along the border of Austria and Italy. At first, they thought it was a recently lost mountaineer, but tests later revealed the remains were over 5,000 years old. The man became known as Ötzi the Iceman, one of the oldest naturally preserved humans ever found, still wearing ancient clothing and carrying tools from the Copper Age. After the discovery, a strange pattern began to emerge. Several people connected to the find reportedly died in unusual ways. One died in a car crash, another was killed in an avalanche. A journalist who documented the recovery later died from illness. A researcher died during a hiking accident near the discovery site. These incidents fueled rumors that disturbing the ancient body had brought misfortune. Some began to believe that Mummy was cursed, as if the mountain was protecting the ancient dead. Scientists dismissed the idea as coincidence, noting that many individuals were involved in the discovery. Still, the timing of the deaths kept the legend alive. Today, Ötzi is sometimes referred to as the cursed mummy of the Alps, a prehistoric discovery surrounded by mystery, and a legend suggesting he may have been better left frozen in the ice. Tomb of Timur curse. In 1941, Soviet archaeologists opened the tomb of the Central Asian conqueror Timur, also known as Tamerlane. Local legends warned that disturbing his grave would unleash a terrible disaster. Some stories even claimed an inscription threatened anyone who opened the tomb. Despite the warnings, the researchers proceeded. Inside, they found Timur's remains along with historical inscriptions. Just days later, Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, invading the Soviet Union in one of the largest military campaigns in history. Many believe the timing was more than coincidence. The idea spread that opening Timur's tomb had triggered a curse. Later, when Timur's remains were reburied with religious ceremonies, some claim the tide of the war began to change. While historians reject the supernatural explanation, the legend of Timur's curse remains one of the most famous examples of a forbidden tomb being disturbed. Roman curse tablets. In the ancient Roman city of Bath in England, archaeologists discovered dozens of thin sheets of lead buried in sacred waters. Each tablet was inscribed with messages asking the gods to punish specific individuals. Many accused thieves, enemies, or rivals. Some even demanded illness, bad luck, or a death for the target. After being written, the tablets were folded and thrown into the spring. The belief was that the gods of the sacred waters would carry out the curse. Hundreds of similar tablets have been discovered across the Roman world, showing how common this practice was. These tablets reveal that ancient people weren't just afraid of curses, they actively created them. Qin Shi Huang tomb Mercury curse. Beneath a massive burial mound in China lies the unopened tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified China. Ancient historical texts describe the tomb as a vast underground palace designed to mirror his empire. Rivers and seas of liquid mercury were said to flow through the chamber. Modern surveys of the mound have detected unusually high mercury levels in the soil, suggesting the ancient descriptions may be accurate. This toxic environment has made archaeologists extremely cautious about opening the tomb. Some accounts also describe mechanical crossbows set to fire automatically at intruders. Combined with the mercury rivers, the tomb may have been designed as a deadly trap for grave robbers. Because of this, the burial site is often described as one of the most dangerous ancient tombs ever created. To this day, the tomb remains sealed, and the emperor's resting place has never been opened. Mount Nemrut Curse Site. High in southeastern Turkey stands Mount Nemrut, home to one of the most unusual ancient sanctuaries ever constructed. Built in the 1st century BCE by King Antiochus I of Commagene, the site sits at the summit of a remote mountain and features enormous stone statues of gods, animals, and the king himself. These giant heads, some over 2 meters tall, were placed around a sacred mound believed to contain the king's tomb. Inscriptions carved into the site describe the monument as a holy place meant to be protected forever. They warn future generations not to disturb the sanctuary and call upon divine punishment for anyone who desecrates it. Over time, earthquakes toppled the statues, scattering the massive stone heads across the mountaintop. The broken faces lying in silence add to the eerie atmosphere. Archaeologists still have not located the exact burial chamber beneath the mound. Because of the warnings, the remote location, and the unsettling appearance of the fallen statues, Mount Nemrut is often considered a forbidden ancient site guarded by divine curses. Pazuzu demon statue. Scattered across the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, archaeologists have uncovered small statues of a nightmarish figure, wings spread wide, a snarling face twisted in rage, clawed hands extended, and a tail like a scorpion ready to strike. This figure represents Pazuzu, one of the most feared demons of the ancient world. Pazuzu was believed to command the winds themselves, bringing storms, drought, disease, and famine. His presence was not just symbolic. It was thought to influence the natural world, turning the environment into a source of suffering. Yet despite this, people deliberately brought his image into their homes, not out of worship, but out of fear. They believed Pazuzu could drive away even more dangerous spirits, acting as a terrifying guardian against darker forces that preyed on the weak. But this protection came at a cost. Ancient beliefs warned that if the demon was invoked incorrectly, ignored, or disrespected, his power could turn against those who sought his help, transforming protection into punishment. This uneasy balance made Pazuzu statues deeply unsettling. They were not symbols of safety, but objects tied to forces beyond human control, where inviting protection meant risking destruction. Priestess of Amun, Cursed Mummy. One of the most famous cursed mummy stories centers around a woman believed to be a priestess of the god Amun. According to legend, after her coffin was discovered, a series of misfortunes followed those who possessed or transported it. Stories claim that owners suffered illness, accidents, and financial ruin. Eventually, the mummy was said to be moved to a museum where staff reportedly experienced strange events. The tale grew into one of the most well-known cursed mummy legends. Although historians question the accuracy of the story, the legend became widely circulated in newspapers and books. The idea that disturbing the priestess's remains triggered a curse made the mummy infamous. It remains one of the most enduring examples of a supposedly cursed human discovery. Eleusis Mystery Sanctuary. Near ancient Athens stood the sanctuary of Eleusis, one of the most secretive religious centers of the ancient world. For nearly 2,000 years, people traveled here to participate in the Eleusinian mysteries, sacred rituals dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. The ceremonies took place inside restricted buildings, and initiates were sworn to absolute secrecy. Revealing what happened during the rituals was considered a serious crime, sometimes punishable by death. Ancient writers claimed the rituals were powerful and transformative, involving symbolic experiences related to life, death, and rebirth. The secrecy surrounding them created an aura of fear and reverence. Even today, archaeologists still debate what actually occurred inside the temple complex. The combination of secrecy, religious power, and forbidden knowledge has made Eleusis one of the most mysterious ritual sites in ancient history. The Moai curse legends. On the remote island of Easter Island, hundreds of massive stone statues known as Moai stand facing inland, watching silently over the land. Created by the ancient Rapa Nui people, these figures are believed to represent powerful ancestors. According to local traditions, the statues are not just monuments, they are vessels of spiritual energy, protecting the island and maintaining balance between the living and the dead. Over the years, stories have emerged of visitors who remove small stones or artifacts from the island, only to experience strange misfortune afterward. Some reported illness, bad luck, or unsettling events, leading them to return the objects in fear. Locals have long warned that disturbing the island or taking anything from it can disrupt the ancestral spirits. This belief has turned the statues into more than just archaeological wonders. They are seen as silent guardians, capable of bringing consequences to those who disrespect them. Whether coincidence or something deeper, the legends of the Moai continue to give Easter Island an eerie reputation, an ancient place where the past is still watching. Burney Relief. Dating back nearly 4,000 years, the Burney Relief is one of the most haunting and mysterious artifacts ever discovered from ancient Mesopotamia. Carved into clay, it depicts a winged female figure standing in a rigid, commanding pose, her body human, but her feet transformed into sharp, bird-like talons gripping the backs of two powerful lions. On either side of her stand owls, creatures long associated with darkness, death, and the unseen world. Upon her head rests a horned crown, marking her as a being of divine or supernatural authority, yet her true identity remains unknown. Some scholars believe she represents a goddess of power or the night. Others argue she may be a demon, or even a ruler of the underworld itself. The combination of human form, animal features, and predatory symbolism creates an image that feels deliberately unnatural, as if it was meant to inspire both awe and fear. There is no clear explanation for why it was created, or how it was used. But its imagery lies beneath her control. Owls watching in silence, and her piercing, unblinking gaze suggests a connection to forces beyond ordinary understanding. Even today, the Burney Relief carries an unsettling presence, not because we know what it represents, but because we don't. Egyptian execration figurines. Ancient Egyptians sometimes created small clay or stone figurines representing their enemies. These objects were covered with names and curses, then deliberately broken, stabbed, or buried. This practice, known as execration, was meant to magically destroy the enemy. By damaging the figurine, the same fate was believed to happen to the real person. Some figurines were even buried near borders or tombs to strengthen the curse. Archaeologists have discovered entire deposits of these broken figures, showing that the ritual was widely practiced. Some figurines were smashed before burial, while others were pierced or bound. The violent treatment of the figurines makes these objects some of the most unsettling ritual artifacts ever found. They were created specifically to bring harm through supernatural means. Sekhmet plague goddess statues. Sekhmet was one of the most feared goddesses in ancient Egypt, associated with war, destruction, and disease. She was typically depicted with the body of a woman and the head of a lioness. Hundreds of statues of Sekhmet have been discovered, especially in temple complexes, built during the reign of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. These statues were placed in rows, creating an overwhelming presence of the goddess. Ancient texts describe Sekhmet as capable of unleashing plagues upon humanity. Rituals were performed to calm her anger and prevent catastrophe. Some historians believe the large number of statues were intended to appease her destructive power. Today, the rows of lion-headed statues still create a powerful and unsettling impression, reinforcing her reputation as a goddess associated with divine punishment, lingering at the edge of belief and dread. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.